The Deep Dive, the show that takes stacks of information, finds the really important bits, and gets you up to speed fast.
That's the goal.
Today, we're jumping right into the pretty exciting world of Nigerian politics, especially with the 2027 elections getting closer.
Yes, there's definitely a buzz. Lots of talk about new alliances forming.
Exactly. We are here to unpack one of the biggest developments, something really significant.
Indeed, our focus today is the rise of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. It has been adopted by the National Opposition Coalition Group as their unified party, right?
A single banner for the opposition. Right at the heart of this challenge to the ruling parties, there is a key figure, Abubakar Malami.
That's the name we're diving into. This deep dive is based on a comprehensive piece from Restore Nigerian News titled Agenda 2027, Meet Abubakar Malami, the face of the ADC challenge.
A pretty direct title.
It is.
Our mission today is to figure out who Abubakar Malami is, his background, and his political journey, which has been quite remarkable.
Absolutely, a real evolution there.
What are his core beliefs? Why is he now seen as such a major force within this ADC challenge? Basically, if you want a shortcut to understanding this pivotal figure, you have come to the right place.
We will try to boil it down.
Let's start at the beginning. Who is Abubakar Malami? What shaped him early on? The article gives us a good picture. He's 58, a Nigerian lawyer and politician.
A pretty standard profile so far.
What really stands out is his family background. His father was Qadi Malami, an Islamic jurist.
Essentially a judge in Islamic law. That's quite a specific background.
The article suggests this sparked his interest in law from a young age. You can see it in his education.
You really can. It maps out perfectly. He earned a diploma in law in 1987 from the College of Legal and Islamic Studies in Sokoto, then a Bachelor of Law from Usman Dan Fodio University in Sokoto in 1991. He was called to the bar a year later in 1992 as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court.
So, a solid legal foundation.
Definitely, but he did not stop there. He also earned a master's in public administration from the University of Maiduguri in 1994, broadening his expertise beyond the courtroom.
Looking beyond just the courtroom.
Exactly. The article calls him both an accomplished lawyer and a consummate public administrator. It highlights that duality.
And personality-wise, what does the article say about the man himself beyond the qualifications?
It paints a picture of someone quite measured, cool-headed, diligent, self-assured, but also, and this is interesting, unambiguously loyal to his convictions.
Loyal, but also self-effacing and introspective. That's an unusual combination.
It is. The article frames these traits, marking him as a thinking and forward-looking political leader, someone who puts a high value on accountability and actions that benefit society overall.
So, principled is the word that comes to mind.
Absolutely. It suggests someone not just playing the political game, but driven by deeper concerns about society and long-term strategy. This really comes through when you look at his political evolution. His commitment to transparency and accountability in governance is underlined by his support for the late President Buhari.
Right, who the article calls Nigeria's poster child of honesty, transparency, and accountability. That connection is key.
It's fundamental to understanding his earlier career.
This is where, like you said, his story gets really fascinating, especially considering where he is now in the opposition. He was deeply involved with Buhari's political rise.
Deeply. The article lists his roles. He was the National Legal Advisor for the Congress for Progressive Change, the CPC, from 2011 to 2013.
Okay, the CPC years.
He also chaired the legal team for Buhari's CPC presidential campaign in 2011, a central legal figure.
Then absolutely. And maybe most critically, he was a key member of those merger committees. You remember the ones that brought together the CPC, ACN, and ANPP?
Which became the All Progressives Congress, the APC, in 2013. That was a monumental effort, forging a unified party from those different groups.
Huge. Malami was right in the thick of it, playing a crucial role in creating the party that eventually won in 2015 and brought Buhari to power.
So he was instrumental in the APC's formation and victory.
Without a doubt. After that win, Malami himself kind of made history. He was appointed Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, AGF.
Right, the AGF role.
At just 48, he was the youngest member of Buhari's cabinet at the time. That shows the trust placed in him.
So let's pause there. He's founding architect of the APC, held a major post in its government, And now he's a leader in the opposition ADC. That's a massive shift. How does the article explain this? Does it frame it as him seeing a departure from the APC's original ideals?
That's exactly how the article frames it. It emphasizes that, as a founding architect, Malami has no illusion about the importance of the rule of law, transparency, accountability, and inclusive governance.
The core principles he presumably helped build the APC on.
Precisely. His current political activity, the article argues, is focused squarely on confronting what it calls the unacceptable lack of accountability and exclusionary practices in the current APC government.
So in his view, the party has strayed significantly.
That's the clear implication. The article says this is why he joined forces with other Buhari allies from across Nigeria. They came together under the National Opposition Coalition Group, the NOCG, and from there they worked to build this formidable opposition alliance, the ADC, with the specific goal, the article says, to rescue the country.
Yes, rescue the country. That's strong language. It suggests a real sense of crisis from their perspective.
It certainly does. It positions his move not just as political maneuvering, but as a response to a perceived serious decline in governance standards.
Which leads us nicely into his governance philosophy. That focus on rule of law, transparency, and accountability seems central to his identity.
It really does. He fundamentally believes that corrupt, unaccountable, and exclusionary leadership actively harms national development, social cohesion, and national unity. It's seen as toxic.
And this isn't just talk, is it? His record as AGF seems to back this up.
The article points to tangible actions. His dedication to recovering stolen public assets stashed overseas, for instance.
The asset recovery efforts were quite high profile.
He coordinated the whole campaign for the federal government. Beyond that, he actively helped draft key legislation for President Buhari, bills designed to strengthen the anti-corruption fight.
Like which ones?
The article mentions the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill, 2017, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit Bill, 2017, the Proceeds of Crime Bill, 2017, and the Public Interest Disclosure and Witness Protection Bill, also 2017.
Okay, those are significant pieces of legislation aimed squarely at tackling corruption and improving transparency. Foundational stuff.
Exactly. They represent real efforts to change the legal landscape. So, given that background, it makes sense why the article says he's now alarmed.
Alarmed by the current situation under the Tinubu-led APC government.
Yes, alarmed by what he sees as a disdain for transparency and accountability. The article argues this current approach undermines past works, presumably including his own.
And is fueling the runaway corruption that is threatening the well-being of Nigerians.
So he sees a direct link between the current governance style and worsening corruption.
That's the connection the article draws. It reflects his stated conviction that wanton corruption, opaque and unaccountable governance principles are direct threats and must be resisted.
Okay, so pulling this together, how does the article essentially define Malami's brand? What's the core message?
It positions him as a strong advocate of the centrality of the rule of law, justice, public order, and accountability. This makes him, it says, a natural ally for anyone who thinks indiscipline, corruption, and impunity are Nigeria's biggest problems.
So his politics are fundamentally rooted in law and order, in a way.
Rooted in law, definitely, and focused on discipline, transparency, accountability, and how the country is run. That's the consistent thread. He's presented as someone with a very clear diagnosis of Nigeria's issues and a principled approach.
Now, beyond the politics and ideology, the article also touches on his wider influence, his connections, philanthropy, even his business side.
It does. His time as AGF inevitably meant forging extensive connections with Nigeria's elite business and political figures. This gives him, as the article puts it, substantial influence in the country's leadership circles.
Which he seems to use for more than just politics.
Right. He is described as a leading voice advocating for good governance based on those principles: anti-corruption, transparency,
and accountability. He aligns with groups wanting to rescue the country from this perceived decline caused by corruption in what they call the unaccountable, exclusionary governance of the current administration.
This concern seems to translate into practical action through his charities.
Yes, his public-spirited nature comes through there. He has two organizations, the Qadi Malami Foundation and the Qadimiyya for Justice and Development, KJID. They are platforms for giving back.
KJID, what sort of work does it do?
It is quite hands-on, focusing on access to justice, but also helping rural communities with basic amenities, food, healthcare, water, and creating jobs, real grassroots work.
Any specific examples given?
Yes, quite impressive ones. During the COVID pandemic, KJID helped facilitate $3.2 billion in soft loans, that's billion with a B, to nearly 5,900 people in Kebbi State.
Wow, $3.2 billion in soft loans is substantial.
Huge impact. They also gave financial aid to flood victims and drilled 236 boreholes for rural communities across Kebbi. So it is not just talk, it is tangible help.
This definitely demonstrates a direct impact. And what about his own finances? The article mentions his private career.
It notes he had a successful private law practice before holding public office, which made him financially stable and comfortable. His main investments now are apparently in education, hospitality, and entertainment.
Education?
That is interesting.
Yes. Specifically, he is linked to Rayhan University, a private university in Kebbi State. He's the chairman and pro-chancellor there. The article suggests this reflects his desire to address the education imbalance and lack of universities in the Northwest. He is also involved in something called Asbir Arena, described as a high-end event center.
So a mix of public service, giving back, and private enterprise. A complex individual.
Very much so. A multifaceted profile emerges. And personally,
Anything on his family life?
briefly, it mentions he is married to two wives. One is actually the daughter of the late President Buhari.
Oh, an interesting connection there, too.
Yes, he has many children, some involved in his businesses, described generally as detribalized, accommodating, and sociable.
So well-connected personally as well as politically. This brings us to his future. What are his strategic goals, according to the article? Where is all this heading?
The article positions him as carrying the torch, so to speak, for Buhari's aims, steering Nigeria towards prudence, transparency, and accountability. So continuing that legacy as he sees it.
Exactly.
His record as AGF and his current work with the ADC are all framed as being aimed at engendering good governance based on those principles. The ultimate goal is to reshape Nigeria's political framework and leadership culture. It is ambitious.
Does the article speculate on his own electoral ambitions? He ran for governor before, didn't he?
He did, unsuccessfully, for Kebbi State Governor back in 2014. The article offers a pretty strong prognosis for 2027.
Oh, what does it predict?
It says it is highly likely that if the government situation continues to deteriorate nationally, Malami might well run for Kebbi governor again in 2027.
With the aim of implementing his principles at the state level.
Precisely, to steer Kebbi towards social and economic progress based on the principles of prudence, transparency, and accountability, which he advocates and believes in. It frames a potential run as a practical application of his core beliefs.
So to wrap up, the profile from Restore Nigeria News paints Abubakar Malami as quite a compelling figure. An independent thinker, a principled lawyer, and politician.
He definitely comes across that way.
A strong advocate for honesty, transparency, and accountability. Someone who went from being central to the ruling party's creation to now being a key player in the opposition, ADC, driven by this conviction that those principles are vital for Nigeria.
Absolutely. He really frames himself around discipline, law, and orderliness with a vision for a corruption-free, prosperous Nigeria. It certainly marks him as an important leader to watch, someone whose ideas could shape the landscape moving forward.
It's a narrative of conviction. His journey from APC architect to ADC challenger suggests principles matter deeply to him, even in a shifting political climate.
So, here's a final thought for you, our listener.
Given Malami's consistent focus on rule of law, anti-corruption, and accountability, and now his position in a major opposition alliance, what kind of impact could his ongoing political work have, especially on the national conversation?
Yeah. And how might his profile, this blend of experience within the system and now challenging it, influence voters, particularly those hoping for change and a different style of leadership?
Definitely something to think about as Nigeria's political future continues to unfold.